So at this point, I take a second and I look around the room. I look at every single person sitting around the table, every single one of my classmates. And the only thing that comes to my mind is, this is pretty damn pathetic. This is sad. Look at everybody. Hell, look at myself. This is ridiculous. Because as far as I'm concerned at this point, if you're making a 60, you're a genius. If you're making a 70, you're cheating your ass off. And not one person around this table has anything higher than 60. So we ain't cheating, but we're not geniuses either. So enough is enough. I've had enough. I'm gonna make a stand. I'm gonna take a stand not only for myself, but for my classmates, for my fellow students, and my study group. You betcha. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna have a solid conversation with myself. I'm gonna write down some bullets of some things I wanna share with Mr. Simmons. He needs to know he's not raising any type of scientists. He's not educating someone that's going to be an Einstein tomorrow. I'm simply trying to pass the class so I can get credits and get that diploma that I'm looking for. I need that piece of paper. And I don't have time to discuss this with anybody else. And now that I know I'm not the only one in this specific position, since everybody else looks sorry as hell around this table, it's time for me to make a stand. I'm so glad you guys are here. My name's Lorenzo. Welcome to Handles. Everyone has a grip on life. Everybody feels like they have a handle. Afraid to share the mistakes. The stories are what connect us. They are the key. We're running out of time. So here I am, sophomore in college. And like some of you that went to college, now I have to start taking on some pretty serious classes. And one of the classes that I have to take on during this semester is a prerequisite for what I want to do. It's biology. Now, you have to understand, just in case you don't have this experience, you didn't miss out on anything. For biology in college, you have to do like 8 different things. Not only do you have to get 3 different books that all cost $300 a piece, but you have to take a lab, you have to have an actual team session, and then you have to have the main group. All this stuff. Especially if you have a professor that wants to turn every single one of you into Einsteins. I happen to have one of those professors. We're going to call him Mr. Simmons. Mr. Simmons gave us tons of work to do all the time. Not only are we in lab cutting up frogs that I have never done even as an adult, and I probably will never do moving forward, but we're trying to put all this stuff together. We're having to go out in public and do different things, come up with random projects, go to the main session and take all these notes, read 15 chapters a night. This is ridiculous. And not only is it ridiculous, but I got a 50 in the class. And you're probably gonna say, how do I get a 50? Well, I tell you what, that's none of your business, but I tell you something else. I got actually worse than a 50. At this point in my life, I had like a 44. Yeah, a 44 in a class. Can you imagine that? But at least they put 50 on my last little report card shot. Thanks, I could share that with my parents. It's getting ridiculous. But I end up finding out that I'm not the only one. So I gotta tell you this, I have never had a study group in my life. I don't care if it was kindergarten, middle school, high school, I've never had anything called a study group. This was the first class that baptized me into what a study group truly is. But you know what the problem is? The study group was in the same position I was in. And biology was a big class. We always held it in the auditorium, minus the biology class that we have in lab. We held it in an auditorium. So there's tons of people in there. I'll say anywhere between 100. Nobody's going to remember my name, nor do I remember everybody else's name. But I have a pretty good idea that everybody here is failing by looking at everybody else's face in the auditorium. I don't know what he's writing down on the chalkboard. I've taken all these notes. I mean, I am studying like crazy at night. When I tell you I have 4 other classes, but I'm putting all my time and effort into this one class. And I've gone so low now to get a study group. So I meet up with my study group because at this point, I got to be able to tell my parents that I'm doing a little bit of everything. And at this point, I truly was. So I get this study group together. There's a total of 8 of us, extremely diverse. But the one thing that we had in common is we were all damn failing. So we figured if we held together and banded together, that maybe we'd start to be able to make a little bit of progress, slowly but surely. Now, I've gone to Mr. Simmons a few times and I've asked him for extra help. I've asked him for anything that he can possibly give us just to help me out, man, anything. And one time he offered me extra credit and I was elated. I went home, I did everything they asked me to do on that extra credit. And I got 10 extra points on a test that I got a 40 on. I got 10 extra points on a test I got a 40 on. So I went from an F to an F. That's awesome, right? I had to do a different strategy. So here we are in this study group. And we're going through the different projects that we're supposed to do. And we're talking about challenges we're having. We're aligning where we possibly can. And we still have this question mark on the top of our head because nobody has a clue of what the hell's going on. And that's when it hits me. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to stand up. And I think you guys are caught up by now. So it's the next morning. I'm on my way to the biology class and I want to get there about 45 minutes to an hour early because I want to give Mr. Simmons a piece of my mind. I'm going to tell him exactly what I'm thinking. I'm not only going to tell him what I'm thinking, I'm going to tell him what the entire body of the class is going through. And to be perfectly honest with you, at this point, I'm not only losing money, I'm not only losing my precious time, but for the love of God, I am losing those precious credits that I need in order to get that diploma, in order to get that piece of paper that says I'm educated for one reason or another. And I need that diploma. I need to graduate. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to go give him a piece of my mind. That's where I'm at. I've got everything written down. I got bullets. I got everything I need. I walk into the auditorium and I notice way up there in the front on the stage, there's another student that's already there talking to him. So I said, okay, calm yourself. Let's sit here and wait until they're done talking. Give them the specific respect they deserve. So I sit back there and wait, but I can still hear what's going on. And as I'm listening, what I hear just absolutely blows my mind. So this student, female, is breaking down to Mr. Simmons how she doesn't feel like she's challenged enough in this class. How she feels like the work that he gives us from homework and otherwise, she completes in the class before it's over. She goes to labs multiple times a day. She does everything she can, but she doesn't feel challenged. And she needs more work. She needs Mr. Simmons to step up his lesson plan because she's not getting anything out of this biology class. And I don't know if this lady is out of her mind. I don't know if this is some type of prank, but this is interesting. So at this point, I'm sitting in the back. I'm thinking to myself, I think now would be a bad time to have that same conversation with Mr. Simmons that I planned all night. So maybe I need to reanalyze how this needs to work. But as soon as I'm thinking this, the student gets done. Starts walking back up the steps to come through the double doors in order to walk out the auditorium. And I'm just too curious. I have to flag her down. So I wait till she gets out the doors. I run behind her and say, ma'am, quick question for you. I heard everything you said to Mr. Simmons. Are you serious? And she goes on to break down the fact that she is serious and that she needs more in order to get the type of knowledge she wants coming out of the class. So I wasn't going to break down and ask her anything personal as far as what her grade was, right? But I told you guys earlier, if you got a 60, you're a genius. If you have a 70, you're cheating your ass off. And I don't know what this lady's making, but I have a pretty good idea it's more than that. But I did decide to sign up and start studying with her. So the more and more I studied with Jane, the more I started to get closer and understand why she felt the way she felt. So Jane is actually an exchange student from overseas, Europe-based. She came over to get an education to be able to add value to the family and to the town that she lives in Europe. So everything that she literally wanted to learn was to apply it, literally, when she got home. She was going to change lives. So this throws me for a loop. Because here I am, working as hard as I possibly can to obtain a piece of paper that says that I'm knowledgeable in this specific subject and that I have a certain type of education that should make me eligible to certain things in life. But Jane is trying to pass this class so that she can truly derive the information and get all the knowledge she possibly can so she can apply these things back home. She has every intention of doing things like cutting up frogs. She has every intention of understanding why cells do what they do. She has every intention of trying to figure out why plants add value to life. All of this is extremely important to her and her family back home. Now you're probably thinking this is a fantastic success story, right? You're gonna say, man, after he spent time with Jane, I'm sure he raised his grade point average and he probably got an A in the class. Well, you'd be damn wrong. You'd be damn wrong. She didn't study any different than me or my study group did. It was just a different type of intensity. She had every intention of reading something to gather the knowledge she truly needed. Not to read it just to gather the knowledge so I can apply it to a test to pass it. She needed the knowledge in order to make a difference. Well, that thought process just didn't cross my mind. So no, I didn't end up getting an A. As a matter of fact, I think I moved my GPA from like a 44 to maybe like a 53. Now that was an improvement. And I shared that with my parents. I don't think they gave a damn, but that was an improvement. And a lot of it had to do with Jane. But then I thought about it and I said a lot of it just had to do with the angle she's looking at it from. So I'll leave you with this. The things in life that you feel like are challenging, I would challenge you to look at them from a different angle. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Handles. I sure hope it added value. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Smash that like button and share with the people you know need to hear the message. You want more Handles? You can follow me on any one of my social media outlets, or you can go directly to my website at the bottom of this page. I appreciate the time, the support, and the feedback. I'll catch you guys next time, right here on Handles.